Hello guys, good morning and welcome to the show. Today is Friday, April 5th, 2019, and I'm glad to have all you ladies and gentlemen here in the audience. Now listen, I'm going to give you the reasons why Bitcoin's going to win in the end. It's going to win in the end, unless something really weird happens. Like if some computer glitch or something like that, something really strange and bizarre happens. But if Bitcoin continues on going like it's been going since its inception, since it began in 2009, if it continues on like this, it's going to win. And what I mean by win is, it's going to be hard to price it in dollars how high it's going to go per coin. And it's going to take over everything. And the reason why, we're going to get into it right here. We're going to start up the charts right here. And we're going to take a look at something called Gresham's Law. Now, this is mostly applied to coinage, like silver and gold and copper and because all the way through history, and when this law came into effect, Thomas Gresham, back in 1519, he died in 1579. Money was always coins. It was always made out of metal. And so, it's basically a monetary principle stating that bad money drives out good. And I'm going to give you two examples of this Gresham's Law. Back in the Roman Empire, they used to issue coinage, and Roman Empire at the time was as big as America is now. It was like a huge empire. And they issued coinage, and at first the coins were solid silver, right through and through. But later what they did was they started to cheat. They started to make like a copper alloy, and then they would coat it with silver, a thin layer of silver on the top, saving the government money on making their coins. And they were able to keep the silver for themselves, the government. But they had to put this thin layer of silver on it to make it look like the silver coin it had always been. Because you know what happens with just a copper alloy, it just turns black, and it looks awful, So the silver coating made them look nice, these coins. It made them look like they were always still silver. There was businesses that popped up, and those businesses were in the business of scraping that silver off. And then using the coin for its face value after the silver was scraped off, it was still the same coin. It was still worth as much as it was worth when they purchased it, to scrape the silver off, but then they would be able to smelt the silver down into bars, and there was whole businesses that popped up that were all around getting the silver off of these coins. Well, that's one example. Another example happened in the United States in around the year 1965. In 1964, they quit issuing solid silver coinage in the United States. And these solid silver coins in the United States were white looking. They had a white look. When compared to the other coins, they look white. And the other coins look more chrome looking, have a more chrome look to them. And so what people would do is they would go to the bank and get a whole big bunch of coins, and they'd pick out all the older white looking ones and put them away for themselves and save them. And so these coins went out of circulation. And this was directly following Gresham's Law, that was the good money that they were saving for themselves. That became their savings. Whereas the coins that were not made of real silver, the newer coins, they'd spend those. Well, see, the same thing is going to happen with Bitcoin and the US dollar. What's going to happen is people are picking up their Bitcoin, and they're saving it. It's becoming their savings. That's where Bitcoin's going. It's following Gresham's Law. What's happening is instead of seeing more circulation of Bitcoin, it being used for people to buy coffee with and stuff like that, nobody in their right mind is going to buy Bitcoin and spend it for a cup of coffee when the price is constantly going up higher and higher. They're going to save it. It's the dollar that's on the other side of this coin. It's the bad money. Bitcoin's very rapidly becoming the good money, and the dollar's very rapidly becoming the bad money. And this is why Bitcoin is going to win ultimately in the end. Because of Gresham's Law. You cannot beat these things. Good money will push out bad money, and it'll become the savings, where the bad money will just become what you use, and the value of the bad money goes down and down and down, never ending. And as it goes down, as it becomes more obvious to the populace that the bad money is losing value, more and more people want to get a hold of the good money. And what happens is a self-feeding, vicious, perpetual cycle. This is what Bitcoin is entering into. Because ultimately, Bitcoin fits into all of the three aspects of perfect money, whereas the dollar doesn't. The dollar's missing one aspect. Bitcoin's fungible, the dollar's fungible. Bitcoin is a store of value, the dollar is a store of value. Bitcoin is limited in supply, the dollar is not limited in supply. There's where you run into your problems. The dollar is not limited in supply, Bitcoin is. And this is the reason why the dollar's losing value, Bitcoin is gaining value. And as this gains more traction, it's going to become more and more obvious. And the more obvious it becomes, the more people are going to jump on the bandwagon and want to get themselves some Bitcoin for their savings. So this army of hoarders that they've now called HODLers, hodlers, is going to grow. Until in the end, everybody's going to be hodling this stuff. Right? But that doesn't mean you can't spend it. It just means that they don't want to spend it, and the reason why they don't want to spend it is because the price is always going up. Whereas every time they go to the grocery store, the value of the things that they buy with their dollars is going in the opposite direction. And rapidly. After a while, this becomes so noticeable that everybody wants the good money, and they're all pushing out the bad money. And this is the situation we're facing. Now, if something doesn't come along drastically to stop this effect, it's going to reach a certain point where the effect increases exponentially fast. And there's a mad panic to get out of the bad money and into the good money. Well, the people that are already holding the good money, they're going to watch their wealth grow. And I'm not talking about grow by small amounts. In my mind, I could see Bitcoin, from where it is right now, every dollar that is invested in it could multiply it by 1,000 times before it's finished. Before this is finished. And it could disrupt our entire world and our entire system, because this is going to speed up the hyperinflation that was already in the cards. There's a hyperinflation for the dollar that was coming. It's just a matter of time, because the dollar's been mismanaged and misused. And it's full of corrupt politicians, and everybody's on the take, and just basically the whole system was ready to turn over anyway. Then we got this white knight marching in on a horse, supposedly. I say supposedly because what it's going to cause, the situation and problems that it's going to cause, after a while, we're not going to think it's a white knight on a horse anymore, and that's Bitcoin. We're going to think it might have just come straight up from the depths of hell because of what problems it's going to cause for our society. But at this point, the doors of the barn have been opened up. Bitcoin is out. It is free. And there's no putting it back in the barn at this point. Nobody, I don't think anybody can stop it. What's going to happen now? So what I'm reporting on is just what I see and what I see happening in the next couple years. For holders of Bitcoin now, you are actually early. This thing hasn't really begun yet. So for all of these guys out there say, oh, you know, we missed the boat on Bitcoin. No, it's just beginning. It's just beginning. It's still small. It's like the internet when the internet was in its infancy. So, I mean, we live in a strange world, but by the time this thing grows super large, where it's actually taking the dollar down and actually speeding up the dollar's demise, because face it, every time somebody goes out and buys a Bitcoin, generally what they do is they go into their bank account and they transfer that money into Bitcoin. Well, that money doesn't stop at the Bitcoin. It goes right through the Bitcoin and into the general economy, where it speeds up the velocity of money. What happens to the Bitcoin? The Bitcoin is pulled out of the Bitcoin reserves, the amount of Bitcoins that are available for sale, and it's put into somebody's wallet. That shrinks the amount of available Bitcoins that are available for sale. And yes, folks, believe it or not, even though Bitcoin is a commodity that is or a currency that is only digital, you can have a shortage of a digital commodity if there's not enough of them available for sale. And do not forget that they're going to have the Bitcoin, the amount the miners come in, the amount the miners bring in. That's halved every 4 years. So it's going to be halved in our future. And yes, you can have a Bitcoin shortage. You know? This situation, Bitcoin, even though it's a digital asset, is taking on the same characteristics that gold used to have. And even though it's not physical, and even though you can't actually hold it in your hand, you can hold it on your computer, where you can actually see it on your computer. And so it's as good as the computer is good. And so you have to understand, we live in a society today where if the computers go down, everything's ended anyway. So your computer's always going to be up. So that old argument about what if the computers go off, if the computers goes off, everything goes off. Our entire society is linked to the computers now at this point. So get over that, you know. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening. Have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed this report. And the reason why Bitcoin ultimately is going to win in the end is Gresham's law. They're going to bad money drives out good. They're going to use the bad money out there, which is the dollar, for commerce and buying things, and Bitcoin is the good money, and they're going to save it away as savings. And this is the reason why I've said before that you're going to see the transactions actually not increase. Bitcoin doesn't need to have the Lightning Network, really. They've established the Lightning Network, and Bitcoin in the end is probably not even going to need it, because nobody in their right mind is going to be transferring much of their Bitcoin to buy any small purchases with. The only time they're going to transfer it is when they want to pay somebody a big amount of money. It's like gold. How many people do you see walking down the street trying to spend gold at the 7-Eleven or trying to spend gold at the Walmart? You ever see somebody walk up to the counter at Walmart and lay down a gold coin for his purchase? No. But an awful lot of people have gold coins in their savings, but they never spend them. That's what Bitcoin is becoming. As good money, it's becoming the savings. And as such, just like gold, you could, back in 1930s, you know, you could have a piece of gold and it was only worth 20 bucks. Now what's it worth? A hell of a lot more, but the dollar's worth a hell of a lot less at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Bitcoin's doing exactly the same thing, but it's doing it even faster. Much faster, because the economic system has reached a congealed point now where the whole thing's ready to collapse and go into a hyperinflation. And that's going to be fuel for this. Anyway, catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.